Hey there, and welcome to the Confident Woman Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Brooks. Join me as I sit down and chat with co-hosts, friends, and carefully curated guests and talk about all the things that empower you to become your best and most confident self. So, let's get started. Today, I want to have a conversation about something I've been thinking a lot about lately. One of these thoughts that hit me, and I just couldn't let it go. So you know how sometimes an idea keeps showing up in different places and you hear something, you see something, you experience something, and then all of a sudden it feels like God keeps bringing the same message back around until you finally are willing to pay attention to it? Yeah, that's literally what has been on my heart and on my soul this week. This thought popped out of nowhere and I'm thinking, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? Is this a lesson for me? Is this something I need to share? And the more I sat with it, I realized there is so much that I want to share because the lesson was so deep and so profound and so current and relevant. And so I've been thinking about this idea that you can't get what you don't give. And the more I sit with this, the more I realize how many times I've wanted something from other people or from life or even from God without first asking, what am I withholding that may be the very thing that I need for myself? As I started to unpack this, because I always hold up a mirror to myself because I want to see the reflection of what my thoughts are projecting. So when an idea or a prompt comes to mind, I have that mirror, it reflects and say, why is this current and relevant? Why am I asking these things? What is the intention or motivation behind this thought, idea, whatever that is? So I started to unpack this, as I naturally do. The concept of giving and receiving, and I think that it's so hard for many of us to fully receive because there's a lot of underlying beliefs or stories or layers that we have yet to unpack. I believe it comes back to why we may have an issue of receiving is because are we actually giving what we need, right? For example, when we say that we want respect, how often are we disrespecting ourselves by the way we talk to ourselves, the way we overextend ourselves, or the way we ignore what we know we actually need, right? When we say that we want trust, how many times have we broken our own trust by saying we're going to do something and then not following through the moment it gets uncomfortable or something else comes up or we just don't think that we're capable of doing something, right? We break that promise, we break that trust. When we say that we want love, where are we not loving ourselves? Where are we being cruel, impatient, dismissive, or constantly nitpicking and tearing ourselves apart? And I knew this was going somewhere the more I kept chewing on this. And as soon as it got to the love part, I was like, dang, I think that I've come very far in this whole journey but the more I journey through life, the more I see blind spots, the more I see the same things popping up and I'm thinking, oh, there it is to teach you the same lesson, just in a different chapter, in a different season you're in. Using these three examples that I got to these three different layers of respect, trust, and love, how was I doing that for myself? So I pose these same questions to you because I think I'm not alone, because if we're all navigating this journey of life, we probably have the same thoughts and needs and wants and desires. The truth is, we all do this, right? But sometimes the thing that we keep looking for outside of ourselves is the very thing we haven't learned yet to give ourselves yet. That is the mirror. That is where we have to pause and ask ourselves, hang on, wait, maybe this isn't about them. Maybe it's about me. When we think about it, what are we longing for? What is it that we want? What is it that we desire? What is it that we need? And so that mirror will reveal what we most deeply crave internally. And a lot of times when we have that void, we begin to seek externally to fill the void. And that's where we lose ourselves. We start chasing after people, promotions, products, positions, whatever this is, we start chasing after it to fill that longing and deep void. So the more I've been reflecting on this, the more I've realized this conversation isn't about other people. It's about the relationships we have with ourselves. Every single relationship in our life is influenced by the relationship we have with ourselves. The standards we accept, the boundaries we set, the way we communicate, the way we show up, the way we want ourselves to be treated, the way we treat other people. All of it begins with what we believe about ourselves. Do we value ourselves? Does it come down to the belief that you don't think you are or are not worthy of receiving any of these gifts that are inherently given to us? But if we don't give to ourselves, how can we expect to receive from others? Because if we can't even experience what that is to give or to nourish in ourselves, how will we even know that we are receiving that? Right? I think about confidence a lot because confidence has been the foundation of this community for years. Confidence isn't where it starts. Confidence is a result. It's the byproduct of what we believe, how we live, what we practice, who we become, and what's underneath it all. So let's unpack what's underneath. Trust, self-respect, identity, and truth. And if we're not aware of these things, how can we know what to even ask for in order to receive? Because you don't become more confident because one day you just wake up and decide to be confident. Confidence is built every time you keep a promise to yourself. Confidence is built every time you honor your word. And confidence is built every time you choose integrity over excuses. Confidence is built every time you stop abandoning yourself. That's where so many of us get stuck. We're waiting to feel confident to take action. We're waiting for things to perfectly align. We're waiting on God's perfect timing. We got excuses. We got answers. We have all the solutions, but yet the inability to take that first next best step prevents that confidence from forming, because confidence is consistency compounded over time. Where are you waiting to feel ready? Where are you waiting to feel certain? Where are you waiting to feel qualified? And meanwhile, this whole confidence, it's being built through the very actions we're avoiding. I know that has certainly been true in my own life. I couldn't start because I had analysis paralysis. I couldn't do the thing because I wasn't confident. I delayed and became disobedient because I didn't feel worthy or called or qualified yet, right? But these are narratives. These are beliefs, excuses, and lies that we're telling ourselves. So I say all that because it's been so true and relevant. And in the season that I'm in, as I'm turning inward and doing these deep reflective actions and questions, but I'm also cleaning house. I'm taking out the trash. I'm taking out the lies. I'm taking out all the things that I have been collecting over these years and seasons, because it's time for us to clean what is taking up so much of our home, our bandwidth, our mind space, our mental space. So there have been seasons where I've just wanted clarity. But how can we have clarity when we have chaos brewing inside? There's seasons where I wanted certainty, when I couldn't even be certain of my own next step because life. And so I wanted that certainty. I wanted answers. I wanted direction. But what I needed wasn't another answer. What I needed was to trust myself enough to take the next step right in front of me. Sometimes we're asking God for the whole staircase when He's asking us to take the next step, to trust Him, to be obedient. And maybe that's where you find yourself today. Maybe you've been looking for that trust. Maybe you've been looking for respect or looking for validation. And maybe you've been looking for peace Maybe you've been looking for love. And I'm not saying those things don't matter. Of course they do, because we need those things. We're human beings. We were created by our Creator for connection. We were created for relationships. We were created to love and be loved. But maybe we need to pause and ask a different question. Where am I withholding that very thing that I seek from myself? Where am I not trusting myself? Where am I not respecting myself? Where am I not loving myself? Where am I not extending grace to myself? And where am I not forgiving myself? Because sometimes the very thing we're asking for is pointing us toward the work we need to do within the mirror. And one of the verses that came to mind is Matthew 22:39. Love your neighbor as yourself. And it seems so simple. We all heard this verse. We all say that we live and abide by it, right? But it got me thinking as I focused on the first half of that verse. Love your neighbor. Sounds simple. Yeah, serve people, care for people, show up for people, be there for people. But somewhere along the way, I started paying attention to the second half, as yourself. And that's where it got me. I was like, dang. How can I truly love others if I don't truly love myself? How can I truly show up for others if I don't show up for myself? How can I truly serve others if I don't serve myself? How can I fully trust others if I don't trust myself? How can I? And so the mirror becomes the flip. It becomes the truth-telling way as yourself. Because if we're honest, how many of us are incredibly compassionate toward everyone else while being so unbelievably hard on ourselves? We nitpick, we criticize, we judge. We bring our own division into our own lives. We have truth on one side, lie on the other, and they go at it every day. So what is inside of us will eventually come out of us. But when we are cynical, critical, and judgmental, that's what festers in our heart. And that comes through our words, our actions, our behaviors, our thoughts, our beliefs, our habits. It becomes our identity. If we're not aligned with what Christ teaches us, then we're aligned by how the world will shape us. So how many of us give grace to everyone except ourselves? How many of us are patient with everyone except ourselves? How many of us encourage everyone except ourselves? That verse challenged me beyond. And although we've read it a million times, do we actually chew on every word and taste it? Because it forced me to ask how I'm treating myself. And this isn't from a place of ego. It's not from a place of selfishness, but it's from a place of stewardship. Because I believe God has entrusted each one of us with one life, one body, one mind, one heart, one calling. And part of honoring that calling is learning how to care for the person He created us to be. And when we can care for that one person, we are one. It starts with you, the reflection in the mirror. Because we can't receive what we're unwilling to give ourselves. And so maybe this week the invitation is simple. We start paying attention. We start noticing what you're craving. Notice what you're longing for. Notice what keeps coming up. Notice how you are speaking to and about yourself. Notice the actions that you take or don't take. Notice the choices you make. Are they aligning with what you need, want, crave, and desire? As long as it aligns with His will, His way, right? We need to model our lives after the one who gave us life. So instead of looking outside yourself for that answer, Ask what it might be revealing within you. What is it trying to teach you? What is it trying to show you? And what part of this is asking you for your attention? Maybe the work isn't to keep asking why we aren't receiving it. Maybe the work is to ask where you stopped giving it. Sometimes it takes that admission. Maybe we didn't believe that we were even worthy of it, so we never tried, right? That was something that came up for me, and I was like, dang, so if at least I try, I'll get better at it. And the more I keep trying, I'll become more confident at it. And the more that I feel fulfilled by doing the practice for myself, the more I can give in capacity to others. And so maybe that work is to ask where you stopped giving it to you. Because everything we desire starts within. And if you're not sure where to begin, start there. Let the Spirit lead the way. You've got this, and He's got you. So until next week, take care and God bless. Hey there. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of the Confident Woman Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode as much as I did, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. Thanks again for listening.